Hey, this is Leach with Simpson Math, and today we're looking at number 77 in Chapter 7 from our textbook. This is a homework example that's going to help set you up to make sure that you're clear about what you need to do in your Chapter 7 lab. So the question is, we have a set of data. It says the closing stock prices of 35 U.S. semiconductor manufacturers on a certain day are given as follows. And so they give us the data. I went ahead and put it into a list where I numbered each one. So this is stock 1, stock 2, stock 3, so forth. And then we have their X value, which is their closing price on that certain day. The reason why I number them is because if you want to use a random number generator, set it from 1 to 35 and have it pull a certain number, you can use the random number generator to then associate your results from 1 to 35 with these particular number. But I'm actually going to show you a different tool to be able to use this, to be able to select 5 items from this list without using the index sort of numbering them 1 through 35. Let's first just sort of go through the other questions. It says in words define X, and then it's the closing stock prices for U.S. semiconductor manufacturers. So each one of these specifically is a closing stock price for a specific U.S. semiconductor manufacturer. If I then throw all of this data into Desmos or Excel or a calculator and get the mean, standard deviation, and count them up, I would get that X bar is $20.71, so $20.71. That's the average. The standard deviation actually feels a bit pretty big because we have some relatively large numbers on a few of them, and that's $17.31 for the standard deviation, and there are 35. You can have Desmos do this for you. So I've typed in my data as this list here. So I have S equals, and then I type in my data with commas separating each data value. And so Desmos says, well, this is a 35 element list. You can give it a name. I named it S for stock. Lists in Desmos are single character letters, lowercase or uppercase, and it does distinguish between lower and upper. So then I'm just asking for a mean of S, and it gives me that's the mean of that 20.71, standard deviation of S, and that's that 17.31, and length, that length is Desmos's term for the number of items. In Desmos, you push functions, which is in the bottom right corner, pick stats, and then these options are there along with several others. C is to construct a histogram of the distribution of stock prices. I changed this. Oh, one note, if you're looking at the textbook online, I think also in print, it says distribution of the averages, and that is not correct. That's actually what you will be doing later in this question, but it should be stock prices. And then they're just being picky about trying to help out with whether it's equal to, if your number is on one of the boundaries, what to do. And so they do that. This textbook does that weird thing. But remember, we have, if it ties, we go up, or if it ties, it is in the next bar. So I just say start at 0 and then use bar widths of 10. Well, Desmos will also do this for you as well. So my input here it's a histogram with my data set is S, and then my bin width is 10. So by saying 10, then that's making these bars, each of these are 10 units wide. And then I want it to be counts. So my y-axis is number of things. So this bar right here is 5 units tall because there are 5 stock prices that close between 20 and 30, or 20 and almost 30. If I want it to be like relative frequencies or percentages or proportions, I would pick relative. And density, you know how we learned with normal models these things called density curves? What this does is this will adjust the heights of these bars so that way the total area is 1. So that's what the density curve is. And then the alignment, this is where do you want the bars to be? Do you want it to be center or left? I have left picked. If you picked center, then the bar would start at -5 and end at almost 5. and then the next bar would start at 5 and end at almost 15. I didn't want that. I wanted to start at 0, and so by picking left, it's like left aligned, then it's left aligned, and that's starting 0, and that's what happened. All right, so there's my histogram. There's a D, and I skipped it. I just realized in the middle of recording that I skipped it. The question is to describe the shape. If you look in the back of the book, it references an exponential function. I skipped that part of the book. Basically, this looks like it has an exponential decay, because it does. And so, but I just want you to say that this is skewed to the right. It is unimodal, and the mode is in the 0 to 10 bar, and it is skewed to the right. That's how I would like you to describe that. Like very skewed to the right. It's aggressively skewed right. All right, so now here's the big to-do with this homework assignment. And this is what ties in with your labs. You'll be doing these several things in the lab of finding the values of the data set, making a histogram of the data set. And then you have to do this. You're going to do this for sample size 5 and sample size 10. It says randomly average 5 stock prices together, and you'll use a random number generator, and then continue averaging 5 pieces together until you have 10 averages. Now, I already have 4 through 10 done. I'll show you those in a second. But I'm going to pop over to this random.org generator. It's actually like a list randomizer instead of a random number generator. And then pair that with Desmos because we'll be needing to get the mean. So let me pop over and change my screen. All right, welcome back. We have a lot going on right here. I have Desmos up, I have website up, and I have my page where I can write on my homework. Well, on the top, I'm looking on the left side of the screen. Sorry, I can't point. I can point only as far as over here. So over where it says random.org, above that there's a list in blue, and I'm picking the one that says lists and more instead of numbers. We're going to pick lists and more, and then we're going to pick list randomizer. All right, so here it says, this form allows you to arrange the items of a list in random order. They can be whatever you want to put in there. Part 1, it says, enter your items in the field below, each on a separate line, so not separated by commas, each on a separate line. They can be whatever you want to. Here, I'm going to have them be these numbers. I'm actually just simply going to paste them in. Maybe, there we go. I'm going to paste them in. I typed them in on a notepad and then I'm just copied them in. They are also on this document that I'll have on D2L as well. So you can just copy here and paste them in. Actually I forgot to switch to the advanced mode, so it's going to make my pasting go away. So I'm going to paste that back. There we go. And the reason why I need to be on the advanced mode is because I'm going to need to switch to where it says part 2, choose the output format. I don't want a nicely formatted web page because it numbers them, and that's going to mess up my copying and pasting. So I just want it as a bare bones text document. So switch that option to bare bones text document. And then, there we go. You can see all the things now. So bare bones text document, and then bottom left, pick randomize. All right, there we go. So it took my 35 numbers and it just scrambled them up in a random order. Now, if you're on a computer, you can actually highlight the top 5 items and then copy and paste it into Desmos. For some reason, Desmos on my iPad won't let me paste into it, so I'll just have to type these five items in. So on Desmos, I'm going to type some letter that's whatever, just some single letter. So I'm going to use A equals, and then the square bracket, because the square bracket is the list. And then I'm just going to type in these first 5 numbers. Like I said, if this is a separated by a comma, if this is a computer, you can just copy and paste the list in. Even though it's a vertical list, it being Desmos, will then make the list be nice and pretty with commas between each of the values, because it's smart like that. And you actually don't have to do the square brackets. You can just paste it in. It will add the square brackets. So just A equals, paste, and then it will take care of it for you. All right, so now we have, it tells us that this is a 5-element list. The reason why I needed to do this out of Desmos is because at least I haven't found a way to be able to average a random selection from Desmos, which is a little bit of an annoying process. So that's why I'm using this external site. All right, and now I can have Desmos calculate the mean for me. So I can, under functions, I'll tap functions, stats, and then mean, and then mean of S. Oops, not mean of S, mean of A. There we go. And so here I got a mean of 15.949. All right, so here, just to be clear, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, under 1, I'm going to type in my 5 numbers. So, oops, let me make that thinner. So 2.875, 24.25, 30.25, 12.87, and 9.5. And my sample mean is 15.949. All right, let's repeat this 2 more times, and I have the other 7 already done for me. So on my web page, I'm just going to go back. It should still have your 35 numbers still pasted in there. Same option already checked, the bare bones text document. All you have to do is bottom left corner, press randomize. All right, it randomized. Let me make that bigger. And let's take a look at the first 5 numbers. Again, if you're on a desktop, you can just copy and paste it. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come to my list and delete this out. I did this earlier on my computer, and I just literally just hit Control A to highlight that whole row, deleted it, and just retyped in A equals, and then Command V to paste. And by doing that, it pasted in the square brackets and then the numbers all together. Here, I'm just going to have to type them in. All right, there we have it. It says it's a 5-element list. Earlier when I was typing them in, for some reason, I kept not writing the decimal button, and I would be doing a comma instead of the decimal. And at the end, I noticed that I had more than 5 elements, so there's a little bit of a checker there for you. But notice, I used the same letter as last time, so I didn't have to re-enter the command of mean of A. It already calculated it, and it updated it live. So my mean is 23.25 for my second mean, 23.25. And then I can then copy down my 5 numbers. All right, there we have it. So let me do this one more time for my third set. So I'm going to go back. Numbers are there. Press randomize. Here's my new set. I'm just grabbing the top 5 numbers. I'm going to delete out. I'll just go ahead and just delete everything because I'm lazy and say A equals square bracket and type in my numbers. All right, there's my 5-element list, and it's already found the mean for me, and that's 11.4875. And then let me write down my numbers. All right, let me switch back so you can see the full screen. All right, so like I said, I've done the other 7 already, so there they are, all done nice and pretty. Notice within each of these, the way that that randomizer works, within each group, there are no repeats because we're selecting 5 without replacement. But between groups, notice there's only one time that there was ever just 7.00. Here on my 7th time, I got a 7, and my 9th time, I got the 7. That's perfectly fine. I see this 9.5, 9.5, 9.5. That's cool. This randomizer of this list also works if you had multiple values with the multiple items in your data set that have the same number. That would be fine because each one of them being selected would have the same chance. That's all good too because it just views each of those as its own little number. All right, last little thing that I have that I'm going to go over here. The rest of the homework assignment will be self-explanatory. It has you find the mean and standard deviation of these numbers, along with making mean, standard deviation of these numbers. And I'm gonna go ahead right here and make a quick little histogram. Is it histogram or a dot plot? I don't remember. I'm just gonna make a dot plot, just so we can look at this. The homework might be asking for a histogram. Actually, let's do a histogram with change my mind. Histogram with bars that are 5 wide. Let's do that. Okay, so I don't see any bars between 0 and 5. I don't see any between 5 and 10, but I do see a mean that is between 10 and 15, there's this 11.74, 11.48, this 11.43. So between my 10 and almost 15 there are two of them. So let me draw a bar that goes up to 2 right here. All right. Then between 15 and 20, I see 1. Let me erase my other underlines. Here we go. I see 1. I see 2. So I'm going to draw another bar here. I'm going to go ahead and do the downstrokes. All right. Between 20 and almost 20 and 25, almost 25, there's this 1, there's this 2, there's this 3, there's this 4. So we're going to go up to 4 right here. And draw this bar that goes, oops, a little ugly. All right. Next, between 25 and almost 30. So 25 and almost 30, there's this 28. So just 1. And then 30 to 30, almost 35. There's that 32. That's 1. That's it. So there's my histogram. And so if we were to describe this, we can see that you can maybe think slightly skewed to the right, somewhat symmetric, but definitely has a unimodal, maybe symmetric, maybe slightly skewed right. We can maybe say unimodal skewed right feel. But recall, according to the central limit theorem, so here we just did this with sample size 5, but if we increase to sample size 10, you should be thinking about what should be happening with this shape. If we go up to sample size 30, what definitely is going to be happening with this shape? Where is it going to be located? All of those things. So you're going to be looking at that within your lab. Now, one note with the lab while I have your attention and you're listening to me. On your lab, you're going to be doing a similar thing with some sets of data, but I'm going to have you just do, I think it just has 4 sets like this, so you just have to make a set of 4. And then on Discord, I'm going to have you share your 4 means. So we care about these means, not the numbers you got to get the mean. You're going to share your 4 means with the rest of the class. So I'll have a date saying, please have your means done by whatever date. So that way everyone can grab those. So instead of you having to do a whole bunch of these to be able to get a good picture, you can do your set of 4 or a few more if you want to. And then grab some from your other classmates so that way we can fill out our nice simulations so that that way we can see what we're doing. If you think back to the applet that we did the other day, what we're doing is we are actually being the applet. We are sampling from this population of a certain sample size, finding a mean, and putting it on a graph. So each of these 10 numbers are on this graph, all right? So if you think about this as this total flow, this is our population. From it, we took a sample, which is a bunch of x's. Then we got an x bar put on the graph. Then we repeated. From our population, took a sample, got an x bar put on a graph, repeated. Population, took my sample, got an x bar, repeated. It's just this process of the sampling distribution. Just we're the ones doing it this time, right? So I hope this helped you understand this homework question, this practice question, and I hope that it'll help you understand the lab so that way you can be successful on it. Take care, and I'll see you next time.